Here we are with another quick and dirty review. This time it's the Trumpeter LAV C2 Command and Control LAV 25 variant. This is also going to be part of a project that I'm going to be doing called the Back to Basics build. Basically, using older skills, fundamental skills, and other things that I find are becoming sorely lacking in the model building community lately and are leading to people having difficulty building model kits. We'll get into that after the review a little bit. So first we'll start with the vehicle. As you can see, nice little box art here depicting it on a snowy countryside. I kind of want to try and recreate this when I do the model. There's one problem, however. Service life extension tires that were carried onto the A2 early exhaust. I have yet to find a picture of service life tires on a regular exhaust vehicle. So, to answer that, I did some digging. Here's the kit tire. Michelin tread, this is the newer tire that it's supposed to have. Except, on here, you got 2 squares, 3 squares. The tire is way too wide. Here's a printed example of the actual tires you'd want to use. Single square, double square, right? So we are discarding those tires and we're going to fix the problem. I've got an LAV-M that I'm working on, the mortar variant. That's where this tire is going. It's printed. It came with the appropriate tires to go with that vehicle. These are the original style tires that should be on the LAV-25. Autofocus, don't do this to me now. They're the right width, right tread, everything. So we're going to stick with these. It comes with the rims for these tires in it regardless. Set those aside. Instructions. I got this kit off eBay. It was oddly stored, to say the least. Very musty smelling. So, and the instructions show it. They're kind of stained and off-white. Typical fold-out type. Really simple kit. Okay, it takes you through all the suspension, wheels, upper hull, lower hull. What I like to do is find out everything that goes onto the upper hull and lower hull inside first, glue those together, and get the hull sealed up. That way I'm not knocking off anything while I'm building it. Here's the hull pieces. Reasonably good fit. Flash is typical for Trumpeter at the time. Overall details are pretty good. Seen a few of these up close and personal in my time, and yeah, for what I need, it's spot on. Got a surprise in store for this on the LAV-M. I'm going to kind of go a little more in depth on that one when I build it. But for back to the basics, very good basic model again, and very well detailed, doesn't need a lot of extra stuff. Color guide, single sheet, generic NATO 3 color scheme. That's what I'm going to put on it. But I'm going to go for some more correct resources. Probably using the Tamiya NATO color paints or the Vallejo series of paints. Okay, so first sprue is the LAV C2 specific parts, taller rear door, extra hatches, different back doors for the command compartment, and different Pioneer tools. Another general sprue. I think this has a couple extra parts that won't be necessary. So, yeah, it's got the original back doors for a standard 25mm armed vehicle. So, again, pretty decent detail across the board. We've got our turn signals, tail lights, roof vents, jerry cans, Nothing too extreme. One thing I do on these kits though is I cut this off and replace it with some styrene rod, and that way I can place the photo etch over it, and the inner exhaust tube is visible beneath the photo etch. But I'll go over that when I build the kit. Not too much more left on it. Again, some more parts. These are shared between the LAV C2 and the LAV-R and a couple other variants. Rearview mirrors, another hatch, LMG, smoke dischargers, and the oldest sprue. And this is interesting to say the least, that the plastic is a different color. It's more yellow than gray. These are the original rims I'll need. I've already disposed of the ones I'm not going to use that come with this one. I just kept this as an example of how seriously wrong the wheel is. Normally I'm not too big on using replacements, but these are one example where replacement is necessary. All your suspension components, and this is one of the older molds from the original LAV25 and so on. So this one got more use. It's got a little bit of flash starting to show here and there. Nothing you can't clean up really quick with about 5 minutes of work. Really well laid out, well designed. All these parts do fit together very well. And then the photo etch. On this there's just one set. You've got your radiator covers and your exhaust covers, and some extra stuff for your jerry cans if you wanted to update the plastic ones, shave off the existing detail and replace it with the straps and the retainer. Same thing with the wire cutters and other little bits and bobs here and there. It's up to you whether you use it or not. The kit parts for a lot of these still look and work very well. So the back to basics build. It seems like lately a lot of people like to throw out name brands out there, and honestly it's beginning to cause problems I've seen, because there's nobody telling people, hey, you can use this, this fluid or this technique, but you might be telling somebody who doesn't have a grasp on the basics. So we're going to be, when we do the LAV-R or C2 build, we're going to be using these books by Shep Payne and Kalambach Publishing on basic construction. We're going to be referencing to this back and forth. I'll be live streaming the builds, so if you want to follow along with that. But I want to do it as an example of back to the fundamentals. You don't need all these miracle fluids and stuff to get the best result out of your model. So some of the techniques are a bit dated. We're probably not going to do dry brushing to that extreme, but it is a technique. We can use it. We'll see how it falls. I'm not going to be sticking strictly to this book, but the goal is to not use any kinds of products or equivalent products that were made or that were really put into use after, say, 2000. So pastels can still be used, artist oils, older techniques like mixing baking powder and white glue for snow, add a little bit of salt for that icy look, older techniques, just to show that they might be a little bit more affordable and more graspable for a beginning modeler. So, and then we've got the figure painting book by Kalambach using acrylics. They do a pretty good breakdown. It shows how to layer and blend and feather. It discusses glazes. So that one's been around for a while for me. And then Shep Payne's how to do dioramas. This one, not going to get into so much in this example, except for when we do the groundwork. So when it comes to laying in the groundwork and establishing the scene, we're going to go by this some of the initial ideas of how to do that, you know, not centering the subject, angling it, you know, different ways to make the scene feel busier. So if anyone else wants to participate and build along, it's going to be about the middle of February. I'll have to check my schedule. I'll do another update video on that. But I want to say about February 15th, we'll start doing the back to basics build. You don't have to use the same kit I do, but if you want to join and follow along, please feel free. But it's not going to be any of the acronym company fluids, nothing that you have to buy anything special to do. The groundwork, we're going to be using celluclay for the base, so none of that pre-mixed mud mix. I've got some by Vallejo. It works, but it's got some drawbacks, and we'll get to those when we come to that. But yeah, if you'd like to join along, feel free. But thanks for watching the video, and have a good night.